A few weeks ago, the grandson of Berlin asked his White House grandpa, why is he donating radiation to Ukraine? Grandpa grinned and told him to shut up. It now appears that grandpa is fining grandson with $1 million penalty. Hi and welcome. I am your host Atul Mishra. Let's begin. 2 weeks ago, the US government under President Biden faced intense pressure due to a controversial decision: the cluster bomb assistance to Ukraine. The US had decided to supply cluster munitions to Ukraine to help defend its territory against Russia, despite concerns from human rights groups that the deployment of such weapons endangers civilians. Colin Kahl, Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, declared a $800 million military assistance drawdown at the Pentagon. They also included DPICMS, or cluster bombs. Despite concerns raised by human rights groups about the danger these munitions pose to civilians due to their bomblets, US officials asserted that Ukraine has given written assurances to minimize civilian casualties during their use. But this decision faced opposition even from its closest allies. Germany, the United Kingdom, and Spain all voiced their objections, exposing a glaring lack of consensus and casting doubt on the decision-making process within the US establishment. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock asserted, "I have followed the media reports. For us as a state party, the Oslo Agreement applies." A counterpart, Boris Pistorius, echoed a similar stance. Such disagreement highlight the need for better communication and cooperation among allies to maintain stability and address global challenges effectively. Germany has signed the convention, so it is no option for us. As for those countries that have not signed the convention, China, Russia, Ukraine, and the US, it is not up to me to support their actions, the German defense minister said at a press conference. Despite this stance, the US was allowed to supply cluster ammunition to Ukraine. With the situation resolved, the Biden administration now appears to be in a mood to punish Berlin. In a move that has sparked controversy, the United States has imposed substantial penalties on Germany's leading financial institution, Deutsche Bank, citing the grounds of money laundering control issues. The US Federal Reserve took action and levied a staggering $186 million fine on Deutsche Bank and its US affiliates after they failed to adequately address the previously raised concerns about their money laundering controls, as highlighted by the US regulator. This is not the first time Deutsche Bank has faced such penalties. In fact, they were fined by the feds in 2015 and 2017 for the same persistent issues, originating from their inadequate controls about the Estonian branch of Danske Bank. The Federal Reserve expressed disappointment in Deutsche Bank's lack of progress in rectifying the situation despite having previously consented to the orders. Consequently, the feds issued a new order demanding that Deutsche Bank swiftly prioritize the completion of the necessary controls that were meant to be implemented following the previous directives. But here comes the twist. Deutsche Bank strongly refutes the American accusations, asserting that they are unfounded. The bank emphasizes its confidence in meeting regulatory expectations, citing significant investments in controls since 2019 and a substantial increase in its global anti-financial crime team, now comprising over 2,000 employees. The imposition of penalties on Germany has left many questioning the underlying reasons behind it. The situation raises suspicions and prompts doubts about the fairness of the allegations. Despite Deutsche Bank's efforts to bolster its compliance measures and combat financial misconduct, the punitive measures seem perplexing. The situation as it stands leaves a lingering sense of something suspicious in the air. How come the US suddenly got reminded at a time of recession of Deutsche Bank's misconduct? In all honesty, it seems like a plain lie. The US and Germany are entangled in the complexities of the Ukrainian situation, and perhaps the US is wary of its biggest ally questioning its actions in Ukraine. As events unfold, it becomes increasingly important to critically examine the motives behind the accusations and the timing of such revelations.